What's going on, everyone? So, D'Angelo Russell and Austin Reaves have really struggled for pretty much the entirety of the season thus far. It's only been 9 games, and we finally got a game where both were good in the Phoenix game, right? D'Lo was massive, especially early on. I mean, he was like our entire offense to start the game, and then Austin Reaves was huge for us to kind of close the game. It was just nice to have both of these guys finally shine together, where it's kind of been like D'Lo has a good game, then a bad game. Reaves has a good game, then a bad game, and they just never seem to click together. But this game was huge for several reasons. Obviously, one, you're 2-0 against the Phoenix Suns. Secondly, which I think is even more important, is the Lakers finally got a road win. If you're going to win a championship and you're going to be a real contender, you got to win on the road. And the Lakers have failed to do that. They were 0-5 on the road up until this game. And to beat the Phoenix Suns with Bradley Beal, with Kevin Durant, who both played great. Kevin Durant was next level. And you were able to still get that win. Still had the slow start, right? I mean, we started off great, but just, again, first quarters have really hurt us badly. That didn't change. But one of the things that I think did change and was huge for the Lakers is Darvin Ham finally moving Austin Reaves to the bench as the sixth man. Darvin Ham even talked about how, hey, put him in the Manu role, put him in the Manu Ginobili role, which is something that I've talked about, right? I fully still believe Austin Reaves rights the ship. I think Austin Reaves gets back to the guy that we know he is capable of being. But one of the reasons I've loved him off the bench, and I've talked about him off the bench, even if he does return to form, is because I think he's a guy that gives you the same production regardless, right? I think whether he's coming off the bench or starting, for him, it's just the minutes and role. And if he's off the bench, he can have a bigger role rather than with the starters, and he can kind of run his own unit in a lot of ways and kind of has a little more freedom. And I just think can give you that production and would be huge for the bench unit, where when he starts, he still can give you the production when he's on. But if you could choose which you'd rather have, if you're getting the same production regardless, you'd rather have it from the bench to kind of balance out your entirety of your roster and rotation. And I just think that that's the best role for Reaves, at least as long as we have D'Angelo Russell. And I just think Reaves is going to continue to really thrive in that role. Off the bench tonight, he had 15 points, 1 rebound, 7 assists, was 6 of 11 from the field, 2 of 4 from 3, 1 steal, and only 2 turnovers, which was huge. And I just think also Reaves' flaws are much more manageable, right? And look, the starting is all it is just a vanity metric, right? It's just like, I am a starter, look at me, right? It's about how many minutes do you play, which Reaves played 35 minutes, which was third most behind LeBron and AD. And so he's still going to get the minutes, and you're still going to close the game. At the end of the day, it's about who's closing. Are you closing down the stretch? Because that's where it matters, right? Who are your best guys are usually the guys that are closing, right? And that doesn't always mean your starters, right? Like, starters is usually like, who are the guys that can get you off to the best start, but who are the guys you trust the most to close the game? And just like Manu really thrived and, had a Hall of Fame career, part of a dynasty, coming off the bench. If Reaves is willing to accept and understand that role, he can do very similar things for the Lakers. Now, I'm not saying he's going to be Manu Ginobili, but I think just him accepting the role, I think he could be in that conversation for Sixth Man of the Year. I really do. I mean, if he can give us anything close to what he gave us, 15 points, 7 assists, that's perfect, right? I mean, seriously. If he could give that to us consistently on a nightly basis off the bench, the Lakers are going to win a lot of games, right? Because that's just great production off the bench that many teams don't have. And so I really hope Reaves is willing to accept that role, willing to bite on that role, right? But somebody like a D'Angelo Russell, if he was to move to that spot, I don't think he would have the same production. I don't think he'd have the same impact, and you're probably not closing with him. So he's not going to get the minutes to have the impact, I believe, right? I just think Austin Reaves makes the most sense. And, even last year, he was great off the bench for us. Team USA, he was great off the bench because it's just his efficiency and the way he can conduct. And he's talked about heavily how he wants to be on the ball more. He wants more opportunities that way, right? And the Lakers have said that they want to give him that opportunity. It's kind of hard to do that when you're in a starting unit with D'Angelo Russell and LeBron James, right? It just, where now he can kind of have his own unit and he plays well next to Rui. Like, to have a bench five of Gabe, assuming when everyone gets healthy, of Gabe Vincent, Austin Reaves, Rui Hachimura, Christian Wood, Jackson Hayes, and then you still have, Cam Reddish. It's really good, right? I mean, like, it's one of the better benches in the league. You got scoring, you got defense, you got playmaking, you got pretty much everything you could ask for from a bench unit. Athleticism, all of it, right? So I need to see Reaves really embrace this. So far, he has. He looked good this game. He didn't cause him any hiccups, right? He had a very good game and closed down the stretch for us. And I just think him in the Manu role makes the most sense, not only for Reaves, but for everyone else, right? Like D'Lo. I think that this opens up so much more for D'Lo, because now without Reaves in the starting unit, and you have a Prince who is primarily going to be off the ball, and you have like a Reddish or a Vando or whomever, again, who is primarily going to be off the ball, that allows D'Lo to basically now be the point guard, which we saw. And he gave you 19 points and 9 assists and was great playmaking, running the pick and roll, getting guys just great, easy looks. Because now it's not this struggle of like, okay, well, we need to give Austin Reaves the ball. Okay, we need to get LeBron the ball. Okay, we need to get No, now it's just your two main playmakers are LeBron and D'Angelo Russell, right? But LeBron doesn't want to be point guard every single possession, so you can let D'Lo run the point, and then when LeBron does have the ball, he's good enough to play off the ball to hit shots that it becomes impactful. I just think this Reaves going to the bench, I think also kind of unlocks D'Lo further. Now, it's very possible that they're still going to trade D'Angelo Russell. I still think it's very likely that they trade D'Angelo Russell. So I would fully expect that to happen personally. But even if they do, I still think you leave Reaves on the bench, right? Like, let's say they trade D'Lo in a package for DeMar DeRozan, right? And then whatever else gets attached to it. Let's say it's Caruso. Let's say they do the DeMar, Caruso, and Drummond, right? Then I think in the starting unit, I think you should just have LeBron run point and go with the starting five of, say, DeMar, Prince, Vando, LeBron, and AD, right? And because DeMar's more than capable enough of bringing up the basketball and initiating the offense and then just giving it to LeBron and then LeBron run point. And then that way Reaves can still come off the bench. And then you have, Gabe Vincent, Reaves, Caruso, Drummond, Wood, Hayes, right? Like, you're in a really good position. That's kind of my thought process on that. But as long as D'Lo is on the roster, and if they do decide to keep D'Lo, which if he's giving you 19 and 9 on 50% shooting, it'd be kind of hard not to keep him, right? Especially long term. And he only had one turnover, which is great. And he's been good defensively, right? He hasn't been great, but again, he's been good enough defensively. And so I just think like this really allows D'Lo to be D'Lo. And I think it really allows Reaves to be Reaves. So I think that they both just benefit so much more than they would have otherwise if both of those guys were in the starting unit. Not just that, but just defensively, we've been terrible in the starting. I mean, we weren't great defensively against the Phoenix Suns, but I do think once Vando comes back, we'll be a lot better defensively. And with Torrey and Prince in the starting lineup over Reaves, I think that just gives you better defense, right? Again, now you have D'Lo, who's been serviceable defensively. Prince is a good defender. And then you have Vando, who is elite and arguably one of, if not the best on-ball defenders in the entire league, LeBron James and Anthony Davis. And I mean, even last year, Lakers went from like middle of the pack defensively to number one defensively because we added Jared Vanderbilt, right? And now Jared Vanderbilt won't have to make up for Austin Reaves. I mean, he's been bad defensively, right? As good as he was in this game for Phoenix, Still been very bad defensively. But again, you don't have to worry about that as much if he's coming off the bench. Now you can kind of get away with him being the sort of open door that he's been. Granted, if he's closing games, you're going to need him good. But, I mean, I look at Reaves and I look at him in that bench role, and I just think that that's what's best for the team. I think it's best for Reaves too, but I also think it's what's best for the team. And Reaves is still going to get his minutes. He's still going to get his playing time. He's still going to get his opportunity. He's still going to probably most likely come in and close down the stretch, unless the Lakers do get like a DeMar DeRozan or something like that. But I just think in general, the Lakers are best with the rotation that they have now. And look, we got our first road win because of it. So there's at least a 1-game sample size of like, hey, this might be the best approach. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What did you think? How'd you feel about Austin Reaves coming off the bench? Do you think that's the best spot for him? Do you think if he stays coming off the bench, do you think he has a real argument to be 6th man of the year? I do. I really think that, again, if he can give you 15 and 7, or let's call it 15 and 5 off the bench, right? I mean, he's going to be in that conversation, especially if the Lakers are winning and look good. But also, do you think it unlocks D'Angelo Russell more? Now, what kind of starting 5 would you go with now that Reaves is coming off the bench? And hopefully Darvin Ham sticks with it. It seems like Darvin Ham intends to, but, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. But again, however you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out a lot. Lets me know you enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. I appreciate you. See you all in the next one.